You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the local media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. First timer on Ron Siegel Radio, Ken Stewart is with us from the Default Department. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning. How are you?
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we're celebrating today. I don't know how we could do this one today, because this is one that gets you a little nervous. National Triglycerides Day. Now, I don't know about that one because triglycerides, I have to worry about that kind of stuff. As you can tell if you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv or any of our socials, I am in shape. I am in the best shape of my life. Round is a shape. I'm just throwing that out there. Today's also something on a stick day. And I look at the pictures. Okay, Josh has got much better pictures than what they have online here. He's got some shish kebabs there. Those look good. And they've got a lollipop on there. I don't know. What's that? A corn dog on there. Marshmallow. I don't know about the marshmallow, Josh, because there's no chocolate there. The one, if you go to our National Day site, that one's got fruit and vegetables, and I don't know about that one. But it's also, having beaten anorexia, today's National Black Forest Cake Day. Now, that's one I can get behind. National Black Forest Cake Day. Yeah. Might have to take a little trip over to, if you're from Orange County, the only place I go if I want cake, Rockwell's. Isn't Rockwell's the place to go?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't beat Rockwell's. And if you like carrot cake, and I do, carrot cake there is pretty good too. Today's also National Weed Appreciation Day. Don't go there. That's not the one that we were talking about. They're talking about the ones in the gardens. Get your mind out of that area. Okay, let's take a look at what the markets are doing today. Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 23 points. The S&P 500 is up 3.73. NASDAQ down 13. And oil is up $1.27 a barrel. Yeah, that's painful. Because we are in Calizuela and we like high prices. So right now, gasoline on average throughout the state of Calizuela, $5.03 a gallon. 5.03. Josh is at 4.38, and we all know that that's about 50 cents a gallon overstated. If you go into Vegas, if you go into Reno, you go into the big cities, you're going to pay about 50 cents less than that. So you're in the high threes, Josh. Is that about right? Okay, and then we also know, this is what drives me nuts, because Ariane, my loan assistant, $3.09 a gallon. $3.09, and we're at 5.03. I mean, you can go to Hawaii, and I think I might. $4.70 a gallon in Hawaii. Do they produce any gasoline in Hawaii? No. They ship it in from Calizuela, and they're paying less than we are. It drives me nuts. Unbelievable. I don't know if you've been following this one at all. There is some breaking news. Have you followed any of the FTX trial? Sam Bankman-Fried, free room and board for the next 25 years. That's what his sentence was, 25 years. And ironically enough, you have to you serve a majority of that because it's a federal issue. Now, I don't want to be political here, but I do. You can go to New York and kill somebody, and you get less time than that. You can push somebody in front of a moving train, and you get less time than that. Fascinating that, if you're, and I'm not saying Bankman-Fried is a good guy. I'm not saying that at all. But I was just listening. One of the, if you want to get real news, you have to pay for it. You can't go to MSNBC hee-haw. You can't go to NBC. You noticed what happened when somebody didn't agree with their perspective. After 2 days, they fired Ronna McDaniel. 2 days. Now, I'm not sure that's a bad thing if you're Ronna McDaniel, because she had a 2-year contract, $600,000 for 2 years. I think that's going to be reduced to like $600,000 for 2 days, because I think they're going to have to pay her, and there might even be some restitution. What did she do wrong? What did they not know about her when they hired her? Well, she did nothing wrong. She did one interview there, and you got a bunch of the lunatics at MSNBC hee-haw and NBC that are making comments that, we can't have somebody with an alternative opinion. Not allowed to have somebody that doesn't agree with us. I will share with you, I enjoy when people disagree with me here on Ron Siegel Radio. Not that I find that I can actually, maybe we can learn something. Having differing opinions, as long as they're respectful. Couldn't care less if somebody agrees with me or doesn't agree with me. But I guess you're not allowed to have a differing opinion on NBC and their news department. Wonder what Tim Russert would say now if he saw what was going on in the company that he helped build. I think he might even be rolling over in his grave right now. Just amazing that, and I like to watch Tim Russert. He was the best of the Sunday shows, in my opinion. And I don't think I ever knew what his politics was. I didn't care. He did a great job of interviewing people from both sides. Do you think if anybody in their right mind would go on from the right would go on a show on NBC now? Why would they? Oh, well, Ronna McDaniel's an election denier. Well, so was Hillary Clinton when she lost to Trump. And how many people denied the election of George W. Bush? Right? So it's not like it's something new. You just watch these things and you have to wonder. And then you got these two, actually, I guess there's 3 lunatic district attorneys: Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, Fannie Willis. Yeah, I mean, she's the most honest of all of them. She just had an affair and paid the guy. I mean, $600,000 of taxpayer money. And oh no, it was all on the up and up. They went to Bermuda. They went to Napa. Yeah, right. Unbelievable where these things come from. You can't fathom where this country's heading right now. But we do know. Good morning, Dave. I'm glad to have you checking in with us. Got a great subject today we're going to talk about. Not that I wish it on anybody, but if you listen to Ron Siegel Radio on any regular basis, and we hope you do, those that do, we appreciate you. We know there are other things that you could be doing at 9 o'clock in the morning as we're recording, 6 o'clock in the afternoon as we broadcast on ABC News and Talk. But you know that we like to try and find solutions to stress, solutions to things that are keeping you up at night. You know that if you've got debts, unsecured debts, you can go to rsrdebtfree.com, rsrdebtfree.com. And we're going to bring you a new solution today. There are people that cannot afford their mortgages. And they say, well, I'll just sell my house because I've got equity. Could there be another option if you want it? We're going to talk to Ken Stewart about that. We're going to talk about homeowners today have options to avoid foreclosure. Who knew that would be on the rundown today? You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products, anything you want. Anything you want. VA, FHA, conventional, private money. Yes, they've got a portfolio of their own money that they can use. Bank statement loans, I-10s, no credit reports, all of that stuff. If you've got the phone and want a house, make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry. Calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or APR. They tell us the number you put in the calculator to get your mortgage payment. That would just be the actual locked rate. All of this is from yesterday's data. It's about as accurate as we can get you. Conventional loans yesterday down 6.742. Jumbo loans yesterday up 7.056. FHA loans down 6.555. And 30-year USDA loans, rural areas, generally no down payment, 6.495. That was down. And the best loan on the market, if I say so myself, and I do every day, that would be the 30-year VA loan. We appreciate our veterans. That loan was down yesterday. 6.366 is where the 30-year VA loan is. If you want our market commentary, my thoughts on what's going on in the market every morning as early as the data allows, rsrmarketminute.com, rsrmarketminute.com. Again, sometimes it comes out a little later in the day because of data, and I'm sitting here doing a radio broadcast, but we do get it out as early as we can. Let's see what's going on in the markets today. Yeah, and it's going to be a short day. The markets close at 11 o'clock our time here in California, close tomorrow for Good Friday and the Easter holiday for those that celebrate. So S&P 500 up 3.74. 10-year Treasury flat. It's at 0. Mortgage-backed securities down 1 basis point. We can call that flat also. Remember, when the bond goes down, rates go up. But when it's down 1 point, it does not mean a thing. Pending home sales came out this morning. Measure signed contracts in existing homes rose 1.6% in February. Hello, Diana Olick. Are you listening? Maybe you'll realize that people are still buying houses. Very strong considering the rise in rates during the month. Sales are down 7% year over year, which was an improvement almost from down 9% in January. Inventory increased in February, which translated to more sales. We should continue to see a steady increase in inventory as there has been a nice uptick in single-family home building. Once again, Fed Governor Waller and voting member Christopher Waller spoke yesterday. Is clearly not in favor of cutting rates yet. He's not going to do it till July. I've already told you that. He explained that the inflation data so far this year has made him uncertain about the speed of continued progress on inflation, and it may be prudent to hold rates at this level for longer than previously thought. He went on to say that further progress on inflation would make it appropriate to cut rates this year, but he would need to see at least a couple of months of better data before having confidence to cut. Remember, he only gets 1 vote out of 12. There are 19 Fed governors and presidents, 12 vote. Some are permanent voting members, some rotate. He gets 1 vote. Waller also said the U.S. economy is strong and the labor market is resilient. That's because he looks at the BS reports. If he would look at the real reports, he would know that in 40 states now, October was 50 states. Right now it's 40 states have rising unemployment. But we get this BS data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Next Friday, they're going to give us some more BS. We'll see how many more people they add because of seasonal adjustments. Right? January, they added almost 3 million people for seasonal adjustments when there was really a loss of 2.5 million jobs. Maybe Mr. Waller will catch a clue. Apartment rent list rental report released its March rental report showing new rents rose 0.6% during the month. and are down 0.8% year over year, improving from minus 1% in the previous report. Second month in a row of increases on new rents. Second month in a row of increase on new rents, although the yearly decline should eventually start to help the rental inflation component. Final Q4 GDP showed that the U.S. rose at 3.4% annualized pace, which is an increase from 3.4 in the second reading. That's the final reading. So, we hope they got it right now. They've already given us 3 numbers that were wrong. So what the heck? Quarterly PCE core price index remained at 2%, which was 1/10 lower than estimates. Q4 was stronger than initially expected. Most of the gain was driven by consumer spending. Yeah, they're putting it on their credit cards and defaulting. Isn't that a special? And that's a strong economy because we put it on a credit card just like the government does. They don't have to default. They just print more money. Initial jobless claims. Oh, God, they got that one wrong last week too, but they're at 210,000. Still a low number. Again, we're going to watch. And this is perfect timing for our discussion today. CoreLogic reported that loan performance in December on those 30 days or more delinquent fell from 3.1 to 2.8%. This metric was something we were keeping an eye on, but with the drop back to 2.8%, it's now in line with where it has been the last few years. Those 90-plus days delinquent rows remained at 1%, while those in foreclosure stayed just off their lowest level on record, 0.3%. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Good morning, all. Ron Siegel Radio, where your financial wellness is our top priority. Today, we're joined by Ken Stewart, an expert who stands on the front line of foreclosure prevention. Ken has transformed lives with his expertise, and he's here to empower you with the knowledge to navigate the daunting world of real estate difficulties. Stay with us for the entire show to unlock strategies for keeping your home and making informed decisions under pressure. Welcome, Ken Stewart. How are you this morning?
I'm well, Ron. How are you?
Doing great. It's a tough world you're in.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Right?
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. Well, you know something? It's a challenge. How did you get into dealing with the foreclosure prevention?
Well, I started out in 2007 as the market was collapsing. I became an REO agent. It means I started working for the banks. And from 2007 through 2012, here locally,
Wait, you got to go backwards because I'm a simple guy. Okay. What's an REO agent mean?
Sorry, I'm using Tech Talk. Sorry about
that.
Tech Talk. 2007, as the market is going down, banks are foreclosing on properties, and an REO is just the term that banks use for a foreclosed property, so real estate owned.
Okay.
And so what most people refer to as bank repo. So I was the Grim Reaper. I was the guy who I would get an assignment from the bank with an address they had foreclosed on. I was the one who would go out and be their first point of contact. And I was the one who would inform them that they no longer got to live in the house that they used to own. And so I would make arrangements for them to vacate and eventually sell that home.
That's a tough world right now. Nowadays, though, that would be even tougher because now I can just say I'm a squatter and I get to stay there and I get all kinds of rights.
Correct. But we also used to come in and offer them money to leave. So usually squatters would, oftentimes we knew they were squatters. It didn't matter. It didn't matter who was in the house. So some smart guys might see an empty house, jump in and wait for me to show up.
Oh, and then you were giving them money to leave.
Correct. That would be cash for keys. So
gotcha. So now you've now move us forward till 2024.
Mm-hmm.
How's that different?
So in 2012, the REO or bank repo market came to an end, and I went back to selling standard real estate. And then in 2014, I had an opportunity to join a firm in which we were foreclosure prevention specialists. So what we did is, instead of taking homes from people for the banks, we would work with people to help them prevent foreclosure. So we would intervene, we would negotiate with the banks, and come to a solution to help them stay in the home.
So are there many people that know that this is even an opportunity or available?
Probably not, no, because most of the people we talk to, I mean, the easiest thing to do that we do is just to talk to the bank, tell them there's an issue. Many of these people never tell the bank that there's an issue.
What do you mean, like an issue? The bank knows they're not making their payments. So what do you mean that they don't know? They don't tell the bank?
Well, you just mentioned unemployment, so they've lost their job. They know they don't have any money. They know they've got enough money to last 2 months. So if they don't get a job in the first month, they put their house on the market and they sell it. They never even contact the bank. They don't, because they think, I don't want to go late. I don't want to ruin my credit. I want to make sure that I'm making my payments, so it'd be better for me just to sell the property and maintain my credit. But the fact of the matter is there are options to you that, yes, it will affect your FICO scores, your credit scores in the short term, but in the long term, you get to keep your house, and everything resets and sets itself up, because that's what the banks want. They want performing assets.
Now, in 2007, 2008, 2009, when we saw the real estate meltdown, one of the things that we heard frequently is the banks won't talk to you unless you've missed payments.
That is correct. You got to be 30 days behind. Now, will they talk to you? Sure, but there's nothing they can do. So what I suggest to people is, when something happens, when you lose that job, call the bank and say, hey, this is what has happened. What are my options? And they already have options set up. They're ready to help you with these options, especially the initial options.
But not if you're still current.
Not if you're still current.
Seems to me like, isn't that backwards? I mean, you always hear creditors say, communicate. And here we're saying, well, you can communicate, but we're not going to help you until you're past due.
Right. So they want you to pay a price. So they want you to be 30 days late. So the day you go 30 days late, you can start right then, and then you can repair it. And within a few months, it'll fix itself. And then you'll have that 30-day late on your credit report, right? You'll have 1 30-day late. It's better to have 1 30-day late and fix the problem than sell or go 90
Okay,
days late.
so I want to talk to you when we come back about the risk of 1 30-day late. And we'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Homeowners today have options to avoid foreclosure. There may be more than what we have in this report. We're going to continue our conversation here in a minute. Even with the latest data coming in, the experts agree there's no chance of a large-scale foreclosure crisis like the one we saw back in 2008. While headlines may be calling attention to a slight uptick in foreclosure filings recently, the bigger picture is that we're still well below the number we'd see in a more normal year for the housing market. As a report from Black Knight explains, quote, the prospect of any kind of near-term surge in foreclosure activity remains low, with start volume still nearly 40% below pre-pandemic levels, unquote. That's good news. It means the number of homeowners at risk is very low compared to the norm. But there's still a small percentage who may be coming face-to-face with foreclosure as a possibility. That's because some homeowners may have an unexpected hardship in their life, which unfortunately can happen in any market. For those homeowners that are still for those homeowners, there are still options that could help them avoid having to go through the foreclosure process. If you're facing difficulties yourself, an article from Bankrate breaks down some things to explore. Look into forbearance programs. If you have a loan from Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, you may be able to apply for this type of a program. Ask for a loan modification. Your lender may be willing to adjust your loan terms to help you bring your monthly payment to something more achievable. Get a payment plan in place. A lender may be able to set up a deferral or a payment plan if you're not in a place where you're able to make your payment. And there's something else you may want to consider. That's whether you have enough equity in your home to sell it and protect your investment. You may be able to use your equity to sell your house in today's real estate market. Many homeowners have far more equity in their homes than they realize due to rapid home price appreciation we've seen over the past few years. That means if you've lived in your house for a while, chances are your home's value has gone up. Plus, the mortgage payments you've made during that time have chipped away at the balance of your loan. That combo may have given your equity a boost, and if your home's current value is higher than what you still owe on your loan, you may be able to use that increase to your advantage. Freddie Mac explains how this can help. Quote, if you have enough equity, you can use the proceeds from the sale of your home to pay off your remaining mortgage debt, including any missed mortgage payments or other debt secured by your home, unquote. Lean on experts to explore your options, to find out how much equity you have. Partner with a local real estate agent that can give you an estimate of what your house could sell for based on recent sales of similar homes in your area. You may be able to sell your house to avoid foreclosure. Bottom line, if you're a homeowner facing hardship, lean on a real estate professional like the one we have in the studio with us this morning to explore your options or see if you can sell your house to avoid foreclosure. There are options. You know the worst option that I can tell you that you can come up with, and I will ask our expert here in a minute, but the worst option that I hear people have really just is putting your head in the sand and doing nothing. You need to give us a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, so I can put you in touch with experts. You know, I've been doing this radio program since 2010, and I've met a lot of people in that time period. There are a lot of options out there. Instead of putting your head in the sand and waiting for that unpleasant knock on the door or embarrassing knock on the door. That's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Continue our conversation. We are chatting with Ken Stewart this morning. He is from the default department, expert here on, so you've done the REOs, you've done the short sales. Now you're on the opposite side of the table, maybe trying to educate. Well, you probably tried to help educate people before too.
Right. Well, yeah, it's always about education. So it's really, that's all it is, and it's tempting. I mean, before you make that phone call to a real estate agent, so how do I sell my house? Just make a phone call to your loan servicer and tell them what's happening. That way you can get the options that are available for you. I mean, many of the options are a simple matter. Look, there's this issue. I need some time. How much time do you need? Is everything fixed? Are you ready to go? Yeah, I had some business issues. My income was down, but now it's back. Everything is good. Well, how much time do you need? If I could get like 2 months and then just start over, I'd be great. Banks will do that. They
Wow.
do that without pulling credit, without having you supply any further information. I mean, literally all you need to do is answer a few questions on the phone over a 10-minute conversation, and then they will make a decision. And oftentimes we'll send you out the paperwork and you sign it. And 3 months later, your debt is set on the end of your loan. Your credit has reset and you are no longer late. You're on time, current, ready to go, making your payments again. And you never had to sell your home, and you never had to pay anything. You never had to do anything but ask for help and follow instructions.
Well, ironically enough, right now, those people that are going and they think the only answer is to sell, the issue is going to be they're not going to be able to, even if they get their act back in order, the likelihood is they're not going to be able to afford the same property.
No,
because the interest rates have doubled since what most people have.
Absolutely.
So if you've got a 3 or a 4% mortgage, if you went to try and sell your house, take your equity and buy something new, it's going to be much, much smaller.
Absolutely. And the fact of the matter is it's not, when you come back and start making your payments, you still have your 3.5% interest rate on your first. You just have a promissory note for whatever the balance was on the end, which needs to be paid off when you pay off the whole loan or when you eventually sell a house or whatever. But it's interest free. It's just sitting out there.
That's a great deal.
I think it's a great deal.
Now, let me throw this thought that comes to my mind as a consumer advocate.
Sure.
So I make that phone call. They tell me there's nothing they can do until I'm 30 days late. I wait. I go 30 days late. I call them, and the person that answered the phone is not the same person I spoke to the first time.
Of course.
And there's nothing they can do. But now I can't sell my house and buy another one because I've got a late on my mortgage.
Okay. Well, you'll be able to sell the house, not a problem,
right,
with the late on your mortgage. And then there are many programs where you have a 30-day late on your mortgage and you could buy a new house. But here's the thing. The reason you went 30 days late was so that you could save your house.
Right.
And again, it is a requirement for you to have 1 30-day late. You have to. There's no other way. So you can set everything up in front before you're 30 days late. You talk to the right people. You get the right information. You write down the key terms. Key term being is, for most banks, I want a partial. That's the term. I want a partial.
Okay.
Okay. I'd like a partial. So they give you the information on partial. You call up the day after your 30-day late. You say,
so it's basically the 16th of the month following that, that the 16th, 17th. 20th.
Well, you get your 30-day late on the 31st.
Oh, that's right.
Call them
right.
on the 1st, and you say, look, I'm 30 days late. I want to do a partial. They have a checklist that they have to go through. You should have already had the checklist because you've asked all the questions in advance of this all happening. You complete everything, get it over to them. They have to give you an answer within 30 days. They typically take less time. It'll take 2 to 3 weeks typically, but you do this on the 1st. Everything is settled and fixed by the 21st through the 25th. There's not going to be a second 30-day late because everything is fixed. You're not going to pay the next month. You're not going to pay the next month. And then you're going to pay the 3rd month if you've negotiated that, whatever we've negotiated. And then it'll be your regular payments again. So it's a blip.
Wow. Okay. So
it's a mulligan, basically. It's a mulligan.
You got a mulligan. Okay. So obviously you're a golfer. I go out there and I'm not going to go into that.
Chase balls.
Exactly. I stopped counting at double par.
I don't even count.
There you go. It's even smarter. Well, actually, something, being that we're talking about golf here, what the heck? So I actually am always come in with a negative score, but I score in my own way.
Okay.
So if I went out with 10 golf balls and I come back with 4 golf balls, I'm -6 for the day.
All right.
When you're in there at the 19th hole, telling everybody you're -6, they're looking at you going, holy cow, he's a heck of a golfer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They don't realize we're talking different things.
Exactly.
But that's a whole different story. So is it a guarantee? I don't use the word guarantee, but is there a very high likelihood that the bank's going to work with me?
Very high likelihood, yes.
Okay.
As long as you're answering the questions right. If you say, I have no money, I have no source of income, I can't do anything, this is not a temporary situation, things aren't going to get better, I'm never going to be able to afford this, no, they're not going to work with you. But when they're talking to you on the phone, they are asking questions like, have you fixed the problem? Well, if you fix the problem, then yeah, I fixed the
I
problem.
stepped off the curb. I couldn't go to work for a month, and I'm going to be going back to work next month.
Right. They're not, if all of a sudden you are on disability, lifetime disability, well, no, it's a long-term issue.
Okay.
That's different. For most people, though, the majority of people, it's a short-term issue, and they just get overwhelmed, and they go, and I hear it all the time. If I could just get a couple of months, if they would just leave me alone, because you start getting multiple mailers, multiple phone calls. It's a psychological warfare from the bank because they want to get paid. And
banks only want, I shouldn't say banks, lenders only want two things, right? They want to get their interest,
right,
and they want to get their money back.
right.
Like, that's what they want. So if you can help them with those things.
Absolutely. And it's a reverse order. They want their money back and they would like their interest.
Right.
And sometimes they're willing to give up that interest to get their money back.
Sure. There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So it's, so you're not really hindering them. You're almost in a sense, you're helping with the process.
Absolutely. Look, they want a performing instrument. They want a loan that is performing because it costs them less to hold that loan, right? And if they can spend a little money or just basically cost them nothing to take that money they have, they know they're going to get it at the end and put it at the end. Why wouldn't they do that? They now have a performing asset. It is in their best interest to make that performing. They want that.
That's how they make their money.
That's how they make their money.
They don't have to keep as much reserves. We're going to continue our conversation with Ken Stewart. When we come back, you're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by rsrdebtfree.com, rsrdebtfree.com. Do you have more than debts, unsecured debts that you can pay off in the next 2 months? If you have more debts than you can pay off in the next two months, visit rsrdebtfree.com, rsrdebtfree.com. Let's talk. We might be wanting to look at a debt consolidation loan. What is your blended household interest rate? Do you know that? Do you know what it is? maybe you need to talk to our friends over with Chris Corrales and chat with him about doing some settlement talks with your creditors, with your credit cards, private student loans, not the public ones, because there's better solutions for that. Private student loans, auto. Get your head out of the sand. Now we know that there's solutions. If you can't make your mortgage payment, rsrdebtfree.com. That is the Borrow Smart segment. Again, rsrdebtfree.com. Continuing our conversation, Ken Stewart is with us, chatting about solutions for your home, about how you can solve the problems. Maybe before you go to the dark side, before you're too overwhelmed, I guess is the best way of putting it.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people, unfortunately our society's there's a lot of suicides, and finance is a big reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
So and you've got some solutions here to help. Now, one of the things I want to ask you about, Ken, is I forgot Chris's company name, but they help negotiate people's credit card debt.
Sure.
And they're paying it. They're just not, maybe paying the 30% interest that the banks want,
mm-hmm.
but they're paying.
Right.
Will that have any bearing on doing something with your on your primary residence?
Not really. Not if you're behind. They want to know how much your payments are. So if we move on to an actual modification instead of a partial or something like that, where we actually have to gather up information, they're going to want to know how much debt you have.
Okay.
Elsewhere. So if you've been able to satisfy your debt somewhere else and you don't have the debt, that means that you can afford more housing debt. So from their perspective, that means that they can change the numbers in the income because they're looking for a specific number. They're looking for a number that they feel comfortable with. And if you have, $100,000 in credit card debt, well, they're going to feel a heck of a lot less comfortable with you.
So they want to know that if they do this, they're going to get back on track.
Right. The whole point is to get on track. It's not to help you save your house. It's to make the debt performing.
So we can go to our normal assumption that the bank really doesn't care about the individual.
No.
They just want to make sure that their instrument is performing and they're getting their money back.
Correct. And the way to do that is to help the individual temporarily. Yeah.
Now, I'll throw this out there, Ken, because I do all the time. I need to have double knee replacement.
Okay.
I can go on Google and find out how to do it, but I'm probably not going to have a good result.
Probably not. No.
Is it similar here where, I can go and do this stuff with the banks, but I'm probably not going to get the right result?
It is and it isn't. So, for example, in the initial, when I talk about that partial, I mean, literally, it's just a phone call. So if you can make that phone call and ask for that information, if you feel comfortable doing that, that's great. You can do that, and there's no additional paperwork. It's a simple process, right? Once you get beyond that, then it gets more complicated. And the real issue is this: you may have heard the old term, an attorney who has himself or represents himself as a fool for a client.
Right.
It's the same thing, because when you are on the phone and you're trying to negotiate things, and if you're actually having to negotiate, not just, hey, can I have this? It's an actual negotiation. You have to provide information. If it's you're representing, you get frustrated when it takes an hour and a half to sit on the phone, and you're sitting on the phone for an hour and a half, and then someone comes on and that person is an idiot, and you need to hang up on that person and then call back and wait another hour and a half till you can talk to another person. That's kind of what you do. And you can't get frustrated. You can't be
What's my house, so I'm emotional.
You're emotionally attached to it. And the fact is, I'm not. So I get on the phone and I wait and I talk to people, and I know what questions to ask. Right. And that's really
the key right there.
That's a key. I have right here. I have sheets that I have that are, these are the questions to ask that I put together.
Over a checklist.
I have a checklist, and I sit there and I go through my checklist and I ask them each question, and because I know what that information is going to tell me and how I can help qualify them to see what is available for them.
Now, my assumption is, and you can tell me if I'm making the fool of myself by assuming, is that when somebody like yourself who does this on a regular basis,
right,
you may get to know people at specific institutions,
right,
that you can call and say, hey, I've got Mrs. Jones here, and this is the scenario, and is it something we can help with or can't help with?
Right. You end up, because if you call a lot, and if previous to 2020, we had a lot more relationships because there was a lot more going on, and so yes, we would have that kind of where you would call the same people and say, hey, I've got somebody new, because that's what their job is, to do it. And then you would end up trying to work with those people.
And they would know that if they've got Ken calling, it's going to be a whole lot easier because Ken knows what he's doing.
Right.
As opposed to Mrs. Jones, who
Our files
doesn't.
go to the top. Our files go to the top because they know, they
It's
tell
easy.
me what I need, and I will give them what they need.
Everybody wants easy.
Everyone wants
right.
easy,
If you can
right.
make it easy for them, they're gonna do that.
And they're
now,
bonused on how many they complete, and they would rather complete the new ones and the easy ones than the tough ones. That's why when you're yelling at them on the phone and I call them and say, hey, you having a great day? What do you need? They're like, oh, let's work with this guy because I know I can get that one done.
Ken just sent them a Starbucks gift card, and and they're having a cup of coffee together.
Sure. No.
Right? No, but I mean, it is people like. I mean, they're at the bank doing a job, getting paid whatever they're getting paid, and on their job title, it probably doesn't say "be the punching bag for Mr. Jones."
They're in their bank's default department. Everybody they are talking to has an issue with their mortgage and hence an issue in their life. Every single person.
All they do.
That's all they do. Then I come along and I don't have that. I mean, I'm representing somebody who does, but I'm having just a, hey, what's going on?
You're having a business conversation together.
Right. So there's not the emotion. I mean, and it's usually pleasant for them to speak with me.
So you're actually the white knight, so to speak, because you're helping the consumer try and get out of what's probably their toughest challenge in life at the moment.
Right.
And when you call the bank, they're talking to somebody who's not yelling at them, not emotional, who's treating them in a professional way. So you're the white knight on both sides.
I try and be. Yeah. I like to say when I worked for the banks, I had a black hat. And now that I'm working for people with the banks, I put on the white hat.
Nice. Are your services affordable? I mean, I can't right now if I can't make my mortgage payments.
Right. So, my primary goal and objective is to help people, and I would like to get paid at it. So I charge.
Sounds like you're entitled.
I charge a flat fee, but I know that the people that I'm working with are in trouble. So I charge a flat fee. I give them payment plans, but the fact, and I rely on the fact that I've just saved their house and that they have if they're
hoping you're dealing with an honest person who's just needs a hand up and not a hand out.
Exactly. And many people are very grateful and they want to pay. They don't have the wherewithal at this moment, but they want to make payments. They want to help me out. They want, not help me out, but they want to make those payments. There are other people who have the money and they pay me immediately. And then there are people who, no matter what I do, I'm never going to get paid, but it's still a win. Like I told you before, when I took about 300 houses when I was an REO agent. Okay. So I knocked on the door 300 times and took those people's houses. Right. Since I switched sides in 2014, I've saved about 147 people from foreclosure.
Wow. That's nice.
So I've got 153-ish more people or families to help before I equalize the playing field.
Nice. That's a great mission.
Yeah. Well, you got to have a,
it's a great mission. So we talked about the options. We've talked about that there are options out there. Do you and you really just can't do anything until you get to that one late payment?
No. You can you sit there and you can talk to them. You can find out everything. You want to talk to them and see what's available. Because here's the thing, you don't want to wait till you're late. If they're not going to offer you anything, if your lender isn't going to offer you anything, because they're required to listen to you, but they're not required to help you.
Gotcha.
Okay. So most big lenders, they have programs, they want to help you, they want to get it done. But some of the smaller lenders, many people who bought underperforming assets or assets in small groups will take this and they don't care. They want it all. And so some people won't negotiate. So you don't want to be 30 days late. So that's why it's best to speak to them.
That's saving you very early.
Talk to see that I help people, and the only way I reach people is they're already late and they're already behind. That's how they get to me. But if you're like I said, something's happened, you've lost your job, get on the phone and call the bank and see if there's any options. Because great, maybe you do get a new job and it's no issue. But it's good to know, it's peace of mind to know that, okay, if I need to, I can do this and that'll buy me another 2 or 3 or 4 months. And I'm sure I can get a job by then or fix the issue or whatever.
So if you're one of those people that gets that or knows your company's got that Warren notice going out telling you that, hey, we're laying off people, that's the time you want to be calling Ken Stewart and chat with him and, say, hey, you know something? This is coming up. Right. It's on the horizon. I know I'm going to have challenges. We're all living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, I've read so many articles that if somebody has a tire issue with their car, they have to wait for the next paycheck to pay for it because they don't have enough money in the bank for it, and their credit cards are maxed out.
Right.
So give me a call at 800-306-1990. Be happy to put you in touch with Ken Stewart. We know that there's issues out there in the marketplace, and as we've said all the time, we just want to be here to help. I started doing this, as I've said many times, in 2010. It is not a profit center. We make money with our lending team, thank goodness, and our Geneva helps us here. But we want to help you. We want to give you education so that you know if you've got a financial problem, there are solutions, as we've talked about with Ken Stewart today. We've talked to Chris Corrales about helping with unsecured debt. And if it gets to the ultimate, we've talked with you with some of the bankruptcy attorneys that have come on the show. And there's that option as a very, very ultimate last resort. But the first resort, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And as always, we ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
Getting paid by the hour and older by the minute. My boss just pushed me